Good morning. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Orient Bambino reference FAC 08004D0. This is the version 4 of the Orient Bambino, so it is the latest current version. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in. It comes in this white outer cardboard box, and inside the outer cardboard box one gets the watch box. The watch box is made from cardboard, which is laminated with a matte black vinyl plastic. The lid of the watch box has a brushed aluminium plate which is pop riveted in the four corners. The lid of the watch box is hinged and inside it's fully lined, and the watch itself sits on a padded pillow cushion. So firstly, I want to give credit to Orient for the quality of their watch boxes, bearing in mind that this is a low tier piece. I paid £115 for the watch and I bought the watch from Amazon. This watch box really is better quality than other low tier watch boxes. For example, the Seiko 5 watch box is a disappointment, and that's a more expensive watch. So I have to give credit to Orient for producing a good quality watch box at this low tier price point. One also gets an international guarantee booklet with the watch. The watch comes with a 2-year international guarantee, which again I think is very good for a low tier piece. The guarantee booklet is translated into multiple languages and it's very comprehensive. It details how to make an international guarantee claim in the event of your watch having a fault. One also gets a plastic tag with the watch which has the Orient brand logo in silver embossed, and on the reverse it has the barcode and also the reference number of this version 4 Bambino. And lastly, one also gets an owner's manual. So if you're unfamiliar with Orient's mechanical watches, this goes into great detail about how to operate the automatic movement in the watch, including the hand winding and hacking, which are useful features. The owner's manual is translated into multiple languages and it's very comprehensive, so a very useful read if you're a collector that's new to automatic watches. So with regards to the watch itself, this is a 42mm piece, so it's a large watch, and really it's a watch that is suitable for collectors with a larger wrist of 7 to 8 inches. If you're a collector with a 6 to 7 inch wrist, you will find the 42mm case of the Bambino to be too large on the wrist. Now, the watch is only 12mm thick, including the domed mineral crystal. So although it's a large piece, it does wear relatively low profile on the wrist, and it will easily slip underneath a shirt cuff if you're going to wear the watch as a daily wear piece. So I would simply describe the watch as a large piece but also a relatively low profile piece, even though it has a domed mineral crystal which is very aesthetically pleasing. Now, I really like the 42mm case shape. I think it's beautifully executed. It only weighs 90 grams on the leather strap, so although it's large, it's actually very lightweight to wear. It doesn't wear with any heft on the wrist, and the leather strap itself is very well executed. It has an alligator finish and it is genuine leather. It has a signed stainless steel buckle, as you can see, with the Orient brand logo, and I really like the quality of it. It's the kind of leather strap one would expect on a higher tier piece such as a mid-tier Swiss piece. The stitching is absolutely flawless and the leather does feel good quality. It's a thick leather strap, and although it feels quite stiff initially, I think that it will break in. So 22mm lug width and 22mm strap, which tapers down towards the end. So I really like the execution of the strap. I think it's good quality and it's also very aesthetically pleasing with that alligator finish to it. So 42mm case with a 22mm lug width, and the lugs do taper down beautifully to the leather strap. I like the curved profile of the case, so it really does wrap well around the wrist, and bearing in mind that it is meant for collectors with a larger wrist, I feel that if you have a 7 to 8 inch wrist, this really will fit your wrist very snugly. It will wrap around the wrist and curve around it very well, and I think it's very nice when one tilts the watch at an oblique angle. You can see the characteristic distortion of that mineral crystal dial distorting the hands and also the applied indices. With regards to the dial, my favourite feature of it is the symmetry. I love the symmetrical layout of those applied silver indices, and they beautifully complement the dolphin hands. Now, the second hand is very interesting because it has an orange tip to it, which reminds me of an Omega Planet Ocean. I really like the orange tip to that silver second hand. I think it adds interest to the dial, and it also improves the functionality with regards to the legibility of the second hand. It's just a shame that Orient didn't make the second hand slightly longer to engage with the minute ticks. So although it's a blue sunburst dial, it's actually graduated. The edge of the dial is black, which helps the functionality of the watch because the white minute ticks contrast beautifully with the black edge of the dial. So blue sunburst dial, and it graduates to black, and I think that really does add something special to the dial. It's very aesthetically pleasing when one tilts it in the light, and it's also further enhances the characteristic distortion of that domed mineral crystal, having the black edge of the dial with the white minute ticks. It really is a very well thought out, clearly legible and functional dial. The date complication is beautifully framed in white at the 3 o'clock position. It has a white date wheel with black numerals, which again improves the visibility and the functionality of the watch. So as a daily wear piece, I really think it cannot be beaten. I consider this watch to be a champagne watch for lemonade money. It really is outstanding quality and outstanding value at the respective price point of only £115. When I'm considering reviewing on a watch on my channel, I look for the watch to meet 2 criteria. The watch should be both excellent quality and excellent value, and I'm pleased to report that this watch meets both of those criteria. The case polishing really is outstanding. It has a flawless mirror finish to the flanks of the case, the tops of the lugs, and also the underside of the case, including the screw-down solid stainless steel case back. So with regards to the rest of the specification, it's a 90-gram piece, so it's lightweight, and it has a 30-metre water resistance, and that is thanks to the screw-down stainless steel case back. Now, a criticism could be that it only has a push-pull crown rather than a screw-down crown, which means that it only has an effective hermetic seal to 30 metres of water resistance. However, the push-pull crown is very well executed. It has a nice low-profile coin edge finish to it, and also a dome mirror-polished cap to it. So I really think that the crown is very aesthetically pleasing, and it's also silky smooth to operate. This movement has hand winding and hacking, so it's an absolute pleasure to use the quick set date and also to set the hands using that very silky smooth crown. So with regards to the movement in this watch, it's another positive. It's an automatic, and it has hand winding and hacking, which are both useful functions. The Caliber F67 automatic that Orient used in this Bambino version 4 is a relatively new movement. So it's not as well proven and reliable as its predecessors, but however, there are no reported problems with the Caliber F67. It is a very well made movement. I would describe it as similar in quality to a 4R36 or 4R35 Seiko movement in terms of build quality, finishing and accuracy. And I really think it's a credit to Orient to be making their own in-house movements in Japan. I think it's good to get an automatic movement with hand winding and hacking, because if you're going to wear this piece in rotation, it's nice to be able to top up the 40-hour power reserve with hand winding if you don't want to wear the watch on a daily basis for say 8 hours to keep topping up that 40-hour power reserve. Also, having hacking is a great advantage because one can hack the movement to precisely stop the second hand and set the time precisely to the second. So overall, I think the Caliber F67 is a very good quality movement. Now, the stated accuracy of that Caliber F67 is plus 25 seconds to minus 15 seconds per day. So one could argue that that's a negative, it's not a particularly accurate movement, but however, I'm pleased to report that this one is running at plus 5 seconds per day, which I think is outstanding, bearing in mind that it's only £115. A low tier price point piece like this, to have an accuracy of plus 5 seconds per day, really is very good. So it runs at 21,600 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 3 Hz. Now, the disadvantage of that frequency and also the beats rate is that the second hand judders around the dial rather than sweeping smoothly. Really, the industry standard for automatic movements is 28,800 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 4 Hz. And it's a popular frequency and beats rates used, for example, in the ETA 2824-2. Because it gives the perfect compromise between power reserve and also accuracy, and it also gives a nice characteristic smooth sweeping to the second hand. So this one runs at 21,600 vibrations per hour and a lower frequency of 3 Hz. Usually one would expect to see a better power reserve than 40 hours from a movement with a lower beat rate and lower frequency. But the disadvantage of it is that one gets that juddering second hand. It doesn't sweep as smoothly around the dial. Personally, I don't find it to be a problem. I don't regard it to be a major negative. However, I understand that some collectors like to see a smooth sweeping second hand with an automatic movement, so it's something I wanted to bring to your attention. Now, with regards to the strap, it's alligator finish and it's genuine leather. The buckle of the strap is stainless steel and it is signed with the Orient logo. It's polished to a mirror finish and it's beautifully executed. The strap itself has two keepers, one is sliding, one is fixed, and I really like the execution of it. The quality is outstanding, the stitching is flawless, and it's quite a thick, stiff leather strap, but I think with daily wear it would become supple and very comfortable to wear. And I really like the fact it's a 22mm strap which tapers down to the end of the strap, and it really does balance the head of the piece very well, because this is a large watch at 42mm, but because it has a rather large 22mm lug width and slender tapered lugs, the large 22mm strap does balance that large 42mm case. Very well thought out proportions, very nicely finished case. I love the mirror polishing to the flanks of the case, the top of the case, and also that screw down stainless steel case back, which is beautifully engraved with the Orient logo and also automatic. It really is a very well thought out piece, and because it has a relatively flat low profile screw down stainless steel case back, it does wear very flat and comfortable on the wrist. Now, one major negative to the watch is that the strap is just a fraction too short to do it up on my 8-inch wrist. As you can see, this really is meant for up to a maximum of a 7.5-inch wrist. I would say that although this is a large piece which is clearly made for collectors with a 7 to 8-inch wrist, one would have to factor in the additional cost of adding a long strap to it, because it just doesn't quite fit my 8-inch wrist, which is a shame, but I'll wrap it around the wrist and I'll show you what it looks like on the wrist. So as you can see, that 42mm case does fit very well on my 8-inch wrist, even though the strap is too short to do up. I really like the profile of both the domed mineral crystal and also that slender tapering of the lugs. The 22mm lug width really does work very well on that 42mm case, and as you can see, due to the shape of the case, the underside of it does curve around the wrist. So I'm confident that this piece would easily slip underneath a shirt cuff, and it's therefore ideal for a daily wear piece. The domed crystal really does complement that blue sunburst dial and those dolphin hands with the silver applied indices very well. Overall, it's a very well executed piece. I love the mirror polishing throughout, including between the lugs, which is often an area which is cost cutting with regards to production costs. One has to give credit to Orient that they didn't just leave in between the lugs machined or unfinished, which is often the case with low tier pieces. The mirror polishing on this case really is outstanding, and I think that it just finishes the watch to perfection. So overall, I think this is a watch with many positives and very few negatives. The strap being slightly too short from my 8-inch wrist is a negative. The juddering of the second hand is another negative, but these are minor negatives. It's inexpensive to upgrade a leather strap, and I certainly don't consider the juddering of the second hand due to that lower beats rate to be a negative. I think the caliber F67 movement is a good choice for this. It's automatic and it has hand winding and hacking, and really to have a 40-hour power reserve is perfectly acceptable. So overall, I consider this watch to be a champagne watch for lemonade money, and I highly recommend it to you for your consideration. This is a great looking watch, and the specification of the watch is also very good at the price point. Overall, I think this is a very good watch. So I hope you've liked my review of the version 4 Orient Bambino. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.